Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we, the folks at Nerd Caliber, talk about nerd news that has happened over the past week since our last show last Tuesday. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter on Facebook and Instagram as a cosplay photographer, a Burley_adopter on Twitter, and Burley Adopter on Mastodon, a couple of other places. Before we get into tonight's show, well, first, let me say already on YouTube, welcome Riley Redmond. Welcome back, Harry Brady. You know the drill. Feel free to jump in with your response to anything I say, your response to any of the topics we're talking about. We love to have that interactive chat. And Jessica, welcome on Facebook. You're probably not going to like my next announcement, which is that we are not currently in this show streaming to Twitch, and starting with next week's show, we will not be streaming to Facebook either. Realistically, our response on either of those two platforms has been negligible, and we are going to go just to the one platform where we do have some level of viewership and response and interactivity and so on, which is YouTube Live. So, Jessica, if you've got a lot of things to say them tonight. Or join us on YouTube. Yeah, everything is always /nerdcaliber. It's pretty easy to find. So that's our big announcement. That's why I'm not going to be throwing up our Twitch promo here, because it's kind of a done deal. I'm not saying we're giving up on Twitch completely. We may come up with other things that will be more appropriate for Twitch. But this Nerd News live show has not been one of the things that has worked on that platform. So, that being said, let's get into tonight's topics. And we are going to start with this person right here is Sydney Chandler. This is Chandler in the upcoming Hulu series Pistol, in which she plays Chrissy Hind in a movie about the Sex Pistols. Jessica, I can always go through YouTube. I just always get notifications on Facebook. That's why I'm here. We'll still put out the notifications on Facebook. I'll just have to figure out a way to make sure it's an event that is only happening on YouTube. That's made clear. We'll still promote it on all of our social media. It just won't be streamed on Facebook. But yeah, so Sydney Chandler, the news here is that Sydney Chandler has been cast as the lead actress in the upcoming FX series based on Alien, the FX Alien prequel series. Buried in this announcement, and this is going to be a recurring theme through a couple of different announcements about casting, in which that may not be the really big thing that these articles should be talking about, is that this show is being made by Noah Hawley. Noah Hawley of FX's series version of Fargo, but for nerds, the creator of Legion on FX. And if you have not seen Legion and you are a fan of the X-Men, it's one of the wildest, most innovative, out there shows that pretty closely hews to the canon of the X-Men. And it's really surprisingly, amazingly well done, fantastically cast, trippy as all get out. And this guy, anything he's done is, as far as I've been able to see, is just genius. And the fact that I didn't know, or at least I don't remember, we may have actually covered this when it was sort of announced back in January, but I don't remember doing it, that Noah Hawley was making an Alien series, a prequel series. So what we know about it is that it's set about 70 years from now, and it's supposed to be the first encounter or the first experience of aliens on Earth. Luminous, welcome to the show, which kind of begs the question, does this not count, or does Alien versus Predator, or Alien v Predator, not count as canon because that was set on Earth, unless they're trying to pretend Antarctica isn't on Earth. And it's a movie that came out a decade and a half, 2 decades ago. So I'm not sure that it qualifies as like the first time the aliens have been in an Earth setting. Unless they are literally saying that was not canon, and we're just, we're going to pretend that that never happened. But other than that, I know nothing else about it, except that Noah Hawley is doing it, and I'm in. I'm 100% in just on that. Trying to think, is anything else in here? I want to make sure that I want to check on this because there's a bunch of these sort of, oh, that's not really the story. Here's the story, which have different names associated with it, and I don't want to get them confused. So that's pretty much the announcement. So if you are even aware of who Sidney Chandler is, was in Olivia Wilde's most recent movie, Chris Pine, Florence Pugh, Don't Worry, Darling. Also a kind of a sci-fi flick. So she has clearly experience. I'm sure is an excellent actress, and I'm looking forward to her portrayal because it's in a Noah Hawley thing. I can't imagine how just wildly innovative Noah Hawley's take on the Aliens franchise will be after watching Legion. Now, granted, Legion gave him the opportunity to do that. Legion is the story of David Haller, Charles Xavier's son, who is an insanely powerful Omega-class mutant who is also clinically insane and suffering from dissociative identity disorder. So Hawley leaned into that, mind-bending aspect of it really deeply in Legion. And I don't know that he's got necessarily the same sort of material to work with in an Alien prequel. I'm still very interested. Luminous, counting down to Free Comic Book Day, Double Midnight Comics will also have food trucks. So yes, I will mention this at the end. I will be at Double Midnight Comics this Saturday, taking pictures for their cosplay contest, and just generally having fun. And yes, eating from the food trucks. So, if you're in southern New Hampshire, northern Mass, anywhere around there, and you don't already have a Free Comic Book Day to go to at a comic book store, Double Midnight Comics in their new facility, the factory at Willow on Willow Street in Manchester. I haven't seen the new facility either, so I'm really excited for that. But anyway, no idea of exactly when we're going to get this. Again, they just announced it apparently that it was happening back in January. So I'm guessing at least a couple of years before we see it. But I'm very much looking forward to an Alien prequel series made by Noah Hawley, whoever's in it. Moving on to our next topic. This is, of course, Joel Kinnaman, probably most famous to us nerds as Randall Flagg from Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad. This is, of course, from Altered Carbon, the excellent Netflix science fiction series and adaptation. This is him as Takeshi Kovacs, or A Different Skin. Well, anyway, if you haven't seen it, it's really worth watching. Very interesting. The news is, and again, this is one where this is sort of burying the lead. The news is that Joel Kinnaman has been set to star in an alien abduction thriller called They Found Us. The real news in this is that this is Neil Blomkamp's new movie. Neil Blomkamp, District 9, Chappie, Elysium, a fantastic director of science fiction, is making his next movie an alien abduction thriller set in Utah. Kinnaman plays a father who is on a camping trip in Utah with his daughter, trying to, fix a broken family relationship, according to the descriptions here, when they have to fight off an attempt to abduct them to alien world. the description sounds interesting. I like Kinnaman. He was very good in Altered Carbon. He was very good in The Suicide Squad. I guess technically he was good in Suicide Squad, but that wasn't really the Randall Flagg character. So he was good playing whoever he was with the name Randall Flagg. Certainly better than many of the other portrayals in the original Suicide Squad. But the fact that it's Blomkamp, that's got me hooked. The fact that the writer of this, and again, I want to check to make sure this is the right one where I'm thinking about, yes, is Jeremy Slater. The Umbrella Academy adaptation, Moon Knight, and is writing the upcoming reboot of The Exorcist and the Fantastic Four movie. So Jeremy Slater and Neil Blomkamp doing a sci-fi alien abduction thriller movie with Joel Kinnaman as the star. Please do, in fact, sign me up. Let's see. I didn't get a date on this. I don't know that it has a release date. It's not in here. It is saying that it will go into production later this year in Australia, of all places. You save money. You're not actually filming in Utah, but I guess you can have Utah or Australia fill in for Utah. There's plenty of similar rocks and desert. Luminous, do we know if it will be shot in Utah? Very perfect timing, Luminous. No, it will in fact be shot in Australia. I'm assuming that that's why it says we'll go into production in Australia later this year, is that they're going to try to make Australia, well, they don't have to make that much. They will try to have Australia look like Utah. And I'm guessing that's, again, because of money. It's cheaper to film in Australia and New Zealand. That's why the Matrix movies were made there, even though the city is supposed to be sort of maybe Los Angeles. So yeah, it's just cheaper to film in those locations. And if you're going to try to recreate Utah, Australia is way better than New Zealand. Put it that way. Utah is very scenic, and it is kind of a bummer. But then again, Utah is doing some really terrible, terrible things with their politics of late, like many states are. So, yeah, I'm fine that Blomkamp is sending the money to Australia. Good for him. I'm sure he's not doing it, again, for any sort of political statement. I'm sure he's doing it because it's cheaper, and the studios, want him to save as much money as possible. But if the side effect of that is that you get to thumb your nose at Utah and its, bass-ackwards political views, that's a thumbs up. So, stay tuned for more information on that. I'm very much looking forward to it. Also, something I'm very much looking forward to, and we do have a date on this, coming this June, is going to be season 6 of Black Mirror. They put out a trailer. It looks really good, although it's basically just showing a whole bunch of the people that are going to be starring in the various episodes in scenes that will show that they are starring in an episode. Those include right here Selma Hayek Pino. I'm thinking I'm pronouncing her new last name correctly, but if not, somebody correct me. Michael Cera, Kate Mara, Aaron Paul. Who else did we see in that? Ben Barnes, Josh Hartnett, Rob Delaney. I didn't recall seeing him in the trailer. That's pretty funny. As an aside, Rob Delaney, it was just announced, is going to be coming back for Deadpool 3, playing Peter, the completely non-powered member of X-Force, who, spoiler alert for a movie that's, 3 years old, or more than that, is saved at the end. Zazie Beetz, who is very clearly seen in one of the bits. Um, they all look like they're very interesting. The creator of the series, Charlie Brooker, said these stories are all still tonally Black Mirror through and through, but with some crazy swings and more variety than ever before. Um, this time, alongside some of the more familiar Black Mirror tropes, we've also got a few more elements, including some I've previously sworn blind the show would never do. That concerns me a little bit. But then again, they did an episode with Miley Cyrus, and it worked. That was a good episode in season 5. So, whatever it is that he swore he would never do, he's done some stuff that breaks not just the fourth wall, but every wall you could think of putting up around the structure of a narrative within, a broadcast one episodic series. So yeah, I don't know what he swore that he would never do, but it'll be interesting to see. I think the Black Mirror stories are some of the best dystopian near future. God, I hope that doesn't come to fruition type stories that have ever been put on television. Black Mirror is, our generation's Twilight Zone with a much more focused, specific look at, the horrors of the possibilities of science fiction. Whereas Twilight Zone goes, quite a bit in different directions with what, their take on science fiction stories. Black Mirror being very much about, hey, this technology, this, aspect of the world could happen like tomorrow, ChatGPT, or, anything like it. And, we're telling you to get prepared. So I'm a big fan of Black Mirror. I'm really looking forward to that this June. I can't wait to see it on Netflix, of course. Great looking cast. Interested to see where each person winds up in their own episodic show. Because again, it's very episodic. But if you are a fan as well, June sometime, they don't get any more specific than that, is when we get to see it. The trailer is already out there. Jump somewhere else here on YouTube. You can absolutely check it out. And if you are a fan, you should. It doesn't give away anything, literally. It's pretty clear to tell that Aaron Paul's one segment is on a spaceship or station. That's about all you get. Zazie Beetz seems to be working on a pretty old-fashioned laptop. And that's all you get about that. So it's not giving away anything. So if you don't particularly like this sort of, in advance trailer, it's Black Mirror. They're never going to give away what their individual stories are actually about in any teaser. All right. That said, moving on to our next bit of, I don't know that this is one where this isn't necessarily the biggest news. The headline was that Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johansson are going to be starring in the voice cast of the upcoming animated prequel movie Transformers 1. This tells the story of essentially the start of the split between the Autobots and the Decepticons, which has been told in other animated movies before. But this is apparently a new one and a different one. But, so Scarlett Johansson is playing character Elita, and Hemsworth is going to be voicing Optimus Prime. Brian Tyree Henry is going to be Megatron. Keegan-Michael Key is Bumblebee. John Hamm as Sentinel Prime, and Lawrence Fishburne as Alpha Trion. Again, burying the lead, folks. Scarlett Johansson and Chris Hemsworth, they were both Avengers. They're integral or have been integral to the MCU. But Brian Tyree Henry and Chris Hemsworth as Megatron and Optimus Prime, that's your lead, folks. Why didn't you go with that? This is me being an editor and criticizing the headline writer or the guy who wrote the article, but yeah, it's still interesting news. Now, slightly less interesting, it's being directed by Josh Cooley, who wrote and directed Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4 was generally viewed as the weakest of all the Toy Story movies, yet it's still a Toy Story Pixar movie, and so it's better than at least 75% of the animated products out there. That said, it's being written by the team of Andrew Barrer and Gabriel Ferrari, and really their only credits of any name are Ant-Man and the Wasp. They co-wrote Ant-Man and the Wasp. Again, not the worst of that series, but certainly not the best. So you've got middle-of-the-road writers and he's a Pixar veteran. I'll give you that. Josh Cooley has been doing Pixar work as an animator, as an actor. He's actually a voice actor in a number of their a number of their movies. But as a director, he's got basically that one credit, and it was okay. Now, the voice actors may lift this out of the park. The writers may write something better than they certainly did in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm pretty lukewarm on this one. It's Paramount Animation and Nickelodeon Animation doing it. So it could look good. It could look like the newest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles effort. Pardon me. Sorry about that. But, it could also look as bad as the last trio of Transformers entities did. Short series, basically what they were. And those just weren't that good. So, fingers crossed that this turns into something actually enjoyable. And of course, we have more Transformers movie news at the very end of the show. Again, I should have checked to see whether or not this had, yes, it does. July 19th, 2024 is the release date. They are making a big point about this in their press releases, and so an awful lot of the articles bring this up as well. This will be the first animated Transformers movie to release in theaters in 40 years. So everything else that's been animated has been released on some sort of television or streaming platform. So that's good. That sort of implies that it may have the kind of budget to make it look like it deserves to be in a theater. We'll have to see. And you'll have to wait a year and 3 months, 2.5 months, whatever. Mid-July 2024. All right, moving on to our next, and again, this is part of the new segment where I put the two trailers at the end of the show. So trailer breaks, as I'm calling it. If you do not want to have any discussion about what was in a trailer of any kind, feel free to bail on the show at this point. If you are fine with that, I'm not going to go too deep into either of these two trailers that are coming up next. But I do want to give you a heads up. I have been told by people that they really don't like us talking in any depth about the trailers because they don't watch trailers at all. And if that's the case, that's their choice and good on them. So this is a scene or screen grab from the trailer that just dropped for the upcoming Hunger Games prequel. I guess prequel is the correct term. I was going to say sequel, but it's not. The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is based on the book, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Rachel Ziegler and Tom Blythe here as Lucy Gray Baird and President Snow. Coriolanus Snow, as his actual name is, long before he became President Snow. And if you know anything about the sequel or the prequel book, it tells Snow's early political career and rise to power. I think the trailer looks a lot like the last couple of Hunger Games. It consistently has that feel as far as the aesthetic design. They haven't gone out of their way to change things a lot. The uniforms look different, but again, it's, decades and decades before the actions of the movies, The Hunger Games. It actually apparently takes place in Snow is the person who creates what's considered the modern version of the Hunger Games as it has been played out over decades by the time the first Hunger Games novel and movie takes place. So it also tells that story about how he essentially developed the Hunger Games as we know them. It looks good. Visually, it looks good. I don't care. I absolutely could care less about President Snow's early development as a political figure. Donald Sutherland was very engaging. The character, President Snow, wasn't at all. There was almost nothing to that character other than a moderately evil, he wasn't even really that terribly evil, nemesis for the main character. That's it. Sutherland did everything he could with that, and I think he did a great job. I think his portrayal of Snow was fantastic. He certainly made him a very interesting antagonist, even villain. And this is from the movies. I haven't read the books. I read the first book. I haven't read any of the other books. And so therefore, I don't know how much of the character of Snow is expanded on in the books, if at all. But the movies didn't give me anything to care about how Snow became Snow. So I really don't care about that story as it's going to be told in The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. That's just me. There may be people out there who are watching this that are absolutely devoted to that book. It is quite popular among Hunger Games fans, as far as I know. But for me, I just don't care. There's no story there to be told that I've been shown will be even remotely interesting. It'd be like if you told me there's a really fascinating story about the rise of Ron DeSantis. Not if you're going to make him essentially the protagonist of the piece. No, there is no interesting story there. I think this is going to be Anakin Skywalker. Now, Darth Vader was a wonderfully evil, mostly one-note villain until Lucas decided to, I guess all along Lucas knew that this was going to be the path that his story was going to take, but decided to make his descent into villainy a 3-movie series. It didn't work. There's a whole bunch of reasons why it didn't work, mostly because of casting. But ultimately it was like, yeah, he turns bad. Show me why in a way that I want to care, and I'm all in. And they didn't. And it turned out to be exactly what you expected it. Oh, yeah, yep, whoop, that's how he got his legs cut off. Okay, that's how he burned up. Yep, all right, cool, all right. High ground. That's what you get out of that. High ground. And I really get the same vibe from this. Now, this is the Anakin Skywalker saga of the Hunger Games. Prove me wrong, please. Absolutely. show me that this is an amazing piece of work and it really, really is excellent character writing where we really care about this. I keep harping on this, but, Andor is the story of a guy who, a spoiler for Rogue One, blah, blah, blah. A guy who dies at the end of the movie he first appears in, and is kind of interesting as I'm really sick of this spy assassin dude. And they say, well, we're going to do his backstory. And it's like, okay. And then it is written so brilliantly that it's the best thing that has ever happened in Star Wars, period. Maybe that's what this will be. I've not heard that about the novel, which means I don't think that's what's going to happen. But we'll see. This I know we have a release date on, November 17th. So, our last topic tonight is another trailer. So again, same trailer warning. It's Monkey Man here. Gorilla Boy. Transformers, Rise of the Beasts. So I got kind of sideswiped, blindsided, confused. The design of the Transformers, particularly Bumblebee, but even Optimus Prime and others, in the stuff that I've seen, including the teasers and the Super Bowl spot, look more like Bumblebee from the movie Bumblebee, the excellent movie Bumblebee. And so I thought this was going to be more like a continuation of Bumblebee's story. It is not. It is the sixth movie in Michael Bay's Transformers series. That's made very clear in all of the writings about this. Michael Bay is not directing. He is an executive producer. Directing is Steve Capel or Steve Capel Jr., who is pretty much only known for Creed 2. So kudos for that. They got a good director. And the human leads are fantastic. I am very excited. I'm going to mess up his name if I don't get it right out of the gate here. Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback. Ramos looks really good. I will watch anything Dominique Fishback is in. I think she is absolutely fantastic. Bad movies she makes good. Or at least her parts of them are good. So that I'm all in. But it's a Michael Bay movie that is Michael Bay's Transformers Volume 6. And this trailer makes it look pretty much like that. It's not Bay directing. So the trailer isn't loaded with every Bay explosion walk away you can think of. But there is definitely, hi, I'm the producer, you have to do things my way, feel to some of the bits that you're shown in the trailer. And I don't like this design. I don't like the design of the Maximals. They're boring as sin. This is this is a gorilla in the anime Gantz. This is somebody designing a cyber ninja gorilla. It's just the expression on his face is like stupidly constipated. There's nothing even remotely terrifying about, even when, if you watch the trailer, when he's roaring and it's like, yeah, okay. The eagle looks cool. I'll give you that. The eagle might be the thing that saves the Maximals in here, but it definitely isn't the gorilla. I just, why would you do designs that literally make you want to go, boy, I wish that didn't look so boring. At least it makes me feel that way. So I am not really that interested in seeing this. As much as I like Dominique Fishback, I will wait until this hits some sort of free streaming, unless, again, the reviews come out and we're told that this is the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah, maybe then, but otherwise, when it pops up in our press preview screening opportunities, easily hand this one off to someone else. Very easily hand this one off to someone else. Not exciting at all. Aside from, again, the performances, as I can see, of Ramos and Fishback. They look really good. But your mileage may vary. You probably want to go see this if you're a fan of the Transformers. This is, in fact, coming out on June 9th, so you don't have to wait that long to decide whether or not you have any interest in this whatsoever. Again, check out the trailer. It doesn't really tell you anything too deep about the story, except that the Maximals have been here for a long time. And either Optimus Prime and the other Autobots didn't know about it, and the Decepticons didn't know about it, or they did and they didn't bother asking them for help in all of the other situations in which the Earth is about to be destroyed because these robots showed up and brought their garbage with them. Yeah. So go watch it if you want. Definitely watch the trailer. That'll help you decide whether or not you do want to watch this when it comes out on June 9th. I'm not particularly involved or interested in it myself. So that's it. That's our show, folks. As I mentioned before, we'll be at Double Midnight Comics. I'll be at Double Midnight Comics for Free Comic Book Day coming up this Saturday. If you're in costume, stop by and get a picture for the cosplay contest. Stop by and get a picture just cause, or just stop by and say hi, whether you're in a costume or not, if you're going to be there. Check out the much larger, cool new facility for Double Midnight Comics there at the factory at Willow. And help me try to completely empty the barbecue food truck. I won't be doing that because then I won't be able to take pictures. I'll be asleep. But I am looking forward to it. And then after that, I'm not really sure. Kind of up in the air. I'm trying to think of a way to do PortCon near the end of June. We will have somebody at Kineticon. Again, I might be day tripping that for at least a couple of the days. It turns out I'm going to be house sitting that weekend in Metro West Mass, which is a little bit less of a haul than from here. And that, of course, is mid-July. And then other things. The only thing I know for sure is, I will be, and we'll have a big team at Fan Expo Boston the first weekend in August. We will have people at Colossal Con East, of course, as well. No, actually, Colossal Con East is after that. So, Labor Day weekend. And we'll have people at Dragon Con Labor Day weekend and so on. We will be at other things in between. Again, still up in the air. So, Luminous Double Midnight Comics is going all out. I hope to make it. I hope you can make it too. I think there is a park and river near the new Double Midnight Comics location as well. So I hope to check that out. It's closer to the new location, but I still wouldn't call it close. You're still walking a bunch of blocks before you get down to the river. But anyway, you can check that all out on Google Maps or when you get there. That said, folks, whatever con you're going to, everybody is relaxing their restrictions. Even I only wore my mask at Wicked Comic Con when I was walking through crowds to go to the men's room and things like that. So, but do please stay safe when you are at a convention. Have the mask with you so you can put it on when you know things are getting crowded, or if you're in an area that does not have good circulation or what have you. Please do continue to stay safe. My family that's up there in the Freiburg area, I'm glad you survived the floods. Yes, the Mount Washington Valley and Freiburg in that area got badly flooded. Huge torrential downpour rains that melted an awful lot of the snowpack, which is still 2 feet thick in many of the mountains up there. But, so far, knock wood, all the reports is everybody was okay. None of the houses, nobody got anything seriously damaged. Nobody had to evacuate. So, good news. And we'll see you at an upcoming show next week on a much more limited number of platforms, YouTube. Or we'll see you at an upcoming con, maybe this weekend at Free Comic Book Day or some other convention. Stay